Yeah, I'm here in Denmark in my little retreat cabin in the late summer. Darren is also in Denmark.
Yes, it's starting to cool off a little bit here in Denmark now.
That's right. You live in Jylland?
No, in south of Copenhagen in
Yeah,
Køge.
right. You told me. Yes, right. It looks a bit summer house-like where you are.
Yeah, we have a nice little udestue, like sun. Yeah. So
like a winter garden.
Yes.
Yeah.
So it's kind of cozy in the winter.
Yeah, that's right. Nice to see you.
Yeah, you
Nice
too.
to see you too.
We just did a retreat together, Darren and his wife, in Denmark.
Yeah, it was wonderful. It was wonderful.
It's nice to reconnect. It was in the retreat center of Shöki Nyima Rinpoche. He has a big place here in Denmark, his first center in Europe, and we did a retreat there. Yeah. So we are in verse 7 today, which is the verse about refuge. And I actually, in our first meditation, I would like to go into taking refuge, contemplating refuge. What is refuge for you? I like the translation of Alex Berson. He translates the Tibetan term for going for refuge into going into safe direction. Going into a safe direction. And part of contemplating refuge is also to become aware. What is your direction in life? What do you trust? What is your compass? What do you rely upon? I guess some of you are used to saying a refuge prayer before teachings or as part of your daily practice. And today I want to emphasize, actually a bit in accordance what I just talked about with George, about combining the body and our practice. So I would like to bring it into the felt sense of the body. So how does it feel? How does that gesture feel when we take refuge? And for those of you who are not so familiar with prayers or who don't define themselves as a Buddhist practitioner, the words taking refuge into Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha, they have actually a lot of space of giving meaning to these three words. So even if you are not define yourself as a Buddhist practitioner, still it is an important question to feel into what does make you feel safe? What is the direction in your life? What do you rely upon? In particular, in times of crisis, which is almost all the time, what is it, what you turn to? And just to fast forward, what I'm going to say today about refuge, the deepest level of the three gems is Buddha nature, is our inborn goodness, something which is always available and always present, your essence. So that's what we take refuge onto. And the essence, Buddha nature, is undescribable. It's unknowable. So in the end, we can't really define what is refuge or what do we take refuge into. So let's take some time to settle and connect with each other. So if you adjust your posture a little, so in the way that you sit comfortable and relaxed, but also present, aware. And if you like, you can close your eyes. And take your time to check in. What do you bring with you into this moment? What is happening in your surroundings? And allow the shift from the busyness, the doing, into present moment awareness. And this is also a shift from the head into the body. So there's a sense of sliding, dropping into the felt sense of the body, shifting gear. Even down into your feet, legs, the trunk of your body, arms and hands and the head. And your breath is an ally. So with the in-breath sliding, embracing, as if you're hugging yourself. And then maybe deepening the in and out breath for some minutes. Just noticing the aliveness. And then with the out breath, almost like sighting, softening the shoulders, and the belly. So this moment is an invitation for you to just bring yourself along. And we can appreciate that we are doing this gesture of welcoming together, that we are not alone, that that we are together, that there is a togetherness here. Togetherness in the virtual temple of our meeting. Unhook from thinking. So thoughts will continue to arise, but as best as you can, don't emphasize them. And with the in-breath, sliding into the body. And with the out-breath, letting go of control. Giving space. And relaxing into the safe space of our meeting. Where everything is welcomed, everyone is welcomed. And returning in case you get entangled, involved in the stream of thinking. Exploring what is here without stories. And particularly if there's something which is a bit difficult to feel or to be with, just let that be as it is and bring it into this shared space, into the temple, into the sacred temple, where we are protected by the presence of His Holiness the Dalai Lama and Lama Zopa, by the spirit of bodhichitta. So you can just be yourself as you are in this moment. notice how the floor, the chair, or whatever surface you're sitting upon is carrying you. And relax into that, being carried. And being surrounded by all the Buddhas. So one aspect of taking refuge is to have symbols of what you take refuge into. It's also called the refuge field. And I invite you to feel the presence of your refuge field in front of you. And maybe for some it's symbolized by His Holiness the Dalai Lama or the Buddha. Lama Zopa Rinpoche. But what is your symbol for refuge? And then if you like, you can take your hands in the Refuge Mudra in front of your heart. Take your time to feel into this posture, into this mudra, breathing into it. Bathing in essence love, in wisdom, like bathing in the morning sun. And just notice how it feels. Maybe there's a sense of surrendering. Maybe there's a sense of yearning. Breathing into it and dropping into your whole body. Maybe there is a sense of throwing yourself into the direction of your refuge. Maybe there's a sense that you're protected and that everything is fine as it is. A sense of safety. A sense to be in the presence of the divine, or that which is bigger than you, undescribable, ungraspable, but nevertheless, it's here. Maybe your refuge is a practice of compassion or non-violence. Remember the laughter of His Holiness and the smile of Lama Zopa. Or you feel a deep bond to the teachings of the Buddha. Shoulders are relaxed. Breathing into the posture. You're feeling that there is actually something where you can bow to, where you can surrender to. Something which you're moving towards to, but also something which is more moving towards you. Then you can repeat after me, if you like. I take refuge to the Buddha. I take refuge to the Dharma. I take refuge to the Sangha. Just feel into these words. Now drop into your heart. I take refuge to the Buddha. I take refuge to the Dharma. I take refuge to the Sangha. I take refuge to the Buddha. I take refuge to the Dharma. I take refuge to the Sangha. And feel the light, the presence, bathing and maybe some other words for taking refuge are more meaningful for you. I trust the Buddha. I trust the teachings. I trust this path. I rely upon. I surrender to. I'm inspired by. And what is it in the teachings which you feel refuge in? Compassion, love, wisdom. Or maybe you feel a strong bond to one of your teachers. Most of all, I take refuge into the Guru. And the deepest level of our refuge is our own goodness, our own indestructible, uncorruptible heart, our capacity to love, to serve, our own innate freedom. Can you trust that? And then the outer refuge, the symbols, they dissolve. Relax your hands again. Just sitting, and you become aware of the Buddha within. The light within. The Dalai Lama within. the Lama Sopa within. The Tara within. And then your heart opens like a flower from the indestructible goodness. And essence love starts to pour out into your whole body and then through the pores of your body, into your surroundings, into this meeting, into your world. And you notice that you are the source of refuge, that you are the source of love. Just resting as love, pure love. Just love. And here the love who at the same time sees the insubstantiality, the transparency of everything. Boundless love, indescribable love. Be the source, bathing whatever rises for you and into infinity. You are already the source of refuge. There's nothing to turn to. You are that already, always. You are already what you're seeking. And without any effort, whatever arises within love, essence love, unconditional love, pure love, just love. Whatever rises, love that. Including the movements of the little me, of the mini me. Everything is already infinitely loved. Everything appears within love. Then you open your eyes if you have them closed, and stay in your body, in your heart, as if the Dalai Lama or Lama Zopa or the Buddha or Tara looks through your eyes, moves your hands, so the source is not outside of us. We are looking from the source. We are looking from Buddha nature. And when you look at the other people, then what is looking from them is the same essence love. It's love looking at love. And that which seems to sabotage being in love with everything is recognized as empty, transparent, vividly appearing, but not real. That what seems to separate us is recognized as empty, made up, unreal. So maybe we don't always have the space and the time to fill prayers and rituals like taking refuge or cultivating bodhichitta into that kind of really felt sense. But maybe next time when you say prayers, can have the intention to make that also a body work. Meditation is body work. And outer expression, like the mudras or doing prostrations, making offerings, the activities of the body, the outer form, and the words we say, they are supposed to help us to find a real personal experience, a felt sense. And that is different every day. That makes it so fascinating. Or if you say the refuge prayer just as like some formula, and it seems to be the same, but it's different. It's alive, it's vibrant, it changes, it has so many colors. Sometimes when we take refuge, can be like a cry for help, for support, and that's beautiful. But sometimes it is something more like moving out, moving towards, being inspired, surrendering, throwing yourself into a safe direction. And the mudras, like the Refuge Mudra, is really one of the ways to feel into what these words mean for us. And it remains a mystery, because we can study many teachings around what is refuge and the qualities of the three gems and so on. And that is helpful. But what is it for you? And if you come to a place where you believe that you have understood refuge, then that is just provisional. Because what we are taking refuge in Buddhism is undescribable, ungraspable. It is not an object of knowledge. This is so obvious when you read the Heart Sutra, or when you dive into the Heart Sutra. In a way, the refuge is that there's nothing to take refuge into, and there's nobody who could take refuge into something. There's groundlessness, which is love in a strange way. It's a free fall into the groundlessness, nothing to hold on to, no safety, and nobody who needs safety. It's so amazing in the Buddhist teachings that after all the descriptions and categories of the first turning of the wheel and the second turning of the wheel with the Heart Sutra, the Buddha takes all the toys away. Everything we hold on to, he takes away. All the carpets we're standing on. So the teachings on what refuge is and the qualities of the three gems and so on, they are provisional, helpful for us, because initially it's so difficult to take refuge into nothing. I mean, nothing, not in the nihilistic sense, nothing which is everything. The full nothing. And in that free fall of nobody taking refuge into nothing, there's only love. But even that carpet of love, the Buddha takes away. So I will read the verse from Tongme Sampo, verse 7. Locked up in the prison of their own patterning. Locked up in the prison of their own patterning. Now, the prison of their own patterning, that's Ken MacLeod's translation of samsara. The pattern, the prison of their own patterning. So we are locked up in the prison of our own patterning, which is the distortion of reality, the distortion which creates a sense of separation, a sense that there is an I, a me here, which needs protection. And then all the fake news of the narrative self, which we create to make us feel safe. We're trying to make something safe which is unfindable, which does not exist. Locked up in the prison of their own patterning, ordinary gods cannot protect anyone. So part of that reflection, the mindfulness practice around refuge is to notice what ordinary gods do we take refuge into. And the practice here is not applying an antidote towards that, but to become aware. Just notice, what are you turning to in times of challenge, in times where your buttons are pushed. So let's say you have an evening where you feel lonely or sad or you feel scared. And so what is your mind doing? Where are you turning to? What is your refuge then? And what you're taking refuge into, is that really a safe refuge? I imagine in an evening like this, what could be the refuge is Netflix and the fridge. What do you take refuge into when you notice that you get old? Or what do you take refuge into when you are sick? And it's constant. I mean, we are constantly trying to escape life as it is. Picking up the phone unnecessarily throughout the day is a kind of refuge. In a strange way, it feels so safe to check the news or to look at Facebook or whatever. Notice that. And not judging it, not just notice that. And then maybe slowly one can, in these moments where there's the urge to take refuge into an ordinary God, to pause and to ask yourself, what is it what I don't want to feel right now? Why can't I be just here with whatever is happening? And how can I be here in a different way? How can I be more at peace with what is happening without going to the fridge? Just for a moment. I mean, you can go to the fridge finally. That's not the problem. But you're aware of what you're doing. So you use these little moments in daily life for pausing. Can I be here in this moment without turning to something outside of me? Can I be here in this moment in love with what is happening? Can I be here in this moment and see the appearances as empty, as transparent, as not real? And then notice also which patterns of refuge into worldly gods, what is called worldly gods here, became addictive for you. And again, not judging, also noticing that just with kindness, with love. Getting to know the addictive parts. And here the trust is that what we become aware of loses its power. So ordinary gods. The first ordinary god Ken MacLeod mentions in his commentary is, for many, he says, the answer is money. And isn't that a pity? It's so sad. Because that kind of refuge actually destroys this earth. And it's so important that to see in this process of taking refuge that it's hopeless to try to feel safe with money, to try to feel safe with the pension, to try to feel safe with fame, to try to feel safe with being beautiful. It's hopeless to try to feel safe with health. It's hopeless to try to feel safe with happiness. I mean, hedonistic happiness, happiness which comes from things going in the way you as the narrative self, as the mini-me, wants things to go. It's utterly hopeless. So he mentions other worldly gods: power, physical beauty, sex appeal, longevity, and then he goes even into spiritual attainments, moral purity, knowledge, courage. I remember some time ago I saw an interview with someone. A few years ago, a pilot landed in the Hudson River. Probably you remember that. There's a movie about that. Yeah, so just by chance, some time ago, I saw an interview with one of the people who was on that plane. Nobody died, so everyone was saved. And this guy, he was like, he had a kind of, from his point of view, a very transformative insight, like a spiritual insight. And that was, what really matters is family. So that was his conclusion. So he was like a person who had put his refuge into making money and having a career. And so this experience showed him that that is not a safe refuge, that's not what life is about. And so his conclusion was, what is important is family. And of course, that sounds really inspiring and wonderful, yeah, it's, but also when I've heard him, it also made me sad, because all his family members will die, and he will die. So is there something deeper than that? Something reliable? Something which nobody and nothing can take away? And that's the direction we explore in the Buddhist refuge. So ordinary gods cannot protect anyone. And so this is, there's actually in the Buddhist teachings, all the teachings around what is called renunciation, where you really contemplate all the ordinary gods. And of course, that's a difficult process, and there is grief in it also. I mean, realizing that most of our life's energy and creativity and time is invested in things we will have to let go of. Not only, obviously, we have to let go of them when we die, but also right now they don't really exist. They are made up. Stories. They are stories. So there's very detailed teachings on that, because there's so many things where our mind goes for refuge. So it's helpful to go to the teachings on the 3 kinds of suffering and the 8 kinds and this and that. And have you done that? Have you has that deeply happened there for you in your heart? To really give up hope. And then there's a period, of course, in our practice where we put our hope into the provisional level of teachings. So we take refuge into compassion and nonviolence and the vows and the rituals and the Lama. And then with the years, we realize also that is not the refuge which is being pointed to in the Buddhist teachings. It's provisional. It's good. Of course, it's helpful to have a God like a creator God, or the Buddha as something to hold on to. And probably we all still need that kind of practice, praying for Tara and feeling her presence. But while we are doing this provisional practices, it's good to be aware that that is a provisional step. This is also so important in terms of preparing for death. So exploring and being with a situation in the evening where you feel difficult feelings and finding ways, wholesome ways to be with that is such an important preparation for the time of death, which is sure that death is certain and the time of death is uncertain. So this teaching situation right now could be the last teaching situation in your life. So at the death process is a dissolution of everything which we take refuge into. And we can't stop it. It's forced upon us in the death process, layer by layer. So this guy who takes refuge into family, what is he going to do in that moment where he can't remember his name and the name of the people he loves? What then? So taking refuge is also a contemplation around what is your wish or intention or vision for your own death. What is it? What you want to? What do you wish your heart turns to when there's nothing anymore to hold on to? This is coming. That's the one thing which is sure. That doesn't mean, obviously, that our relationships and family and so on, that is important. Absolutely, absolutely important, but not really. Not really. That what you want to turn to, that needs to be so simple, so close, so natural, so familiar. So, and then Tongme Sangpo asked this question, and it's so important to really deeply, and it's a scary question, but to really deeply feel into this question when he asks in his trembling voice, because he's just like us, you know. So his question is, where then do you go for refuge? Where then do you go for refuge? And on the deep level, this question, if you have an answer to that question, then you have not taken refuge yet. So where then do you go for refuge? You can't say. Then you continue and say, go for refuge in what is reliable. The three jewels. Yeah. Go for refuge, what is reliable, the three jewels. And now what I said in the beginning, that it's so important to contemplate what is meant by the three refuge, the three gems. So to go beyond the description, to go beyond the symbols, to go beyond that. Go for refuge, what is reliable, the three jewels. This is the practice of a bodhisattva. So Ken McLeod tries to make some words to that which is undescribable, ungraspable, prajna paramita, the perfection of wisdom, which is essence love. So he writes, in the end, however, all you have is awareness, the quality of knowing that is present in every moment of experience. The quality of knowing that is present in every moment of experience. Indefinable, indescribable, non-conceptual knowing. Indefinable, indescribable, non-conceptual knowing. I think many people don't realize that Buddhism is a non-dual tradition. We actually don't need to go to the so-called non-dual satsang teachers or something like that. Buddhism is a non-dual tradition. It is an experience of non-duality. It's an experience of the undescribable, unknowable. It seems to be nothing at all. It seems to be nothing at all. Yet it is there, clear and present. Clear and present. And experience just arises without restriction. Can you trust that knowing? Can you trust that clarity? Yes. There's not much more to say about refuge. Maybe there's a question or comment.
Hi, Stephan. I have a question. Hi. Thank you so much. These are wonderful. I have a question when pain or delusions get to be quite intense, like I've tried like resting in awareness. I've tried Tonglen. I've tried, trying to see what caused this, normal Dharma tools, including trying non-conceptual awareness. But sometimes I just find that the most helpful thing is that moment is to try to like, like dull it out some way to like minimize the pain. It's almost like, too much, right? To deal with at that moment. And so I've wondered, I'm like, well, is that really, a good thing? Because, it's a wonderful opportunity to practice, or is it somewhat sensible to try to box the challenge in a way that is actually approachable? Would you have thoughts on that?
Yeah. Mm. Mm. Yeah, it is. Of course, I mean, most of the Buddhist teachings are about creating conditions so that which we know or start to understand, what actually the teachings are pointing to, the kind of resting in the nature of mind, or however you want to call it. And as long as that is not possible, we have a lot of provisional tools. And I think one of the skills which is necessary for us in our confusion is distraction and using provisional refuge, like going to the fridge, to do it consciously. So knowing this is like a first aid provisional feeling better method, and to become really skillful in that also, to have a lot of tools. It's not only from the traditional teachings, but also body work, therapy, going running, whatever, and to be aware that there is provisional refuge, like worldly gods, which are creating a lot of harm, like drinking, for example, where the method, yes, it gives a certain relief, but it creates more problems in the end, more suffering in the end. So to also be skillful in terms of what kind of provisional refuges do we choose. So that's probably more skillful than kind of insisting on, it's all awareness and it's all empty, and I know that, and kind of just talking about resting in the nature of mind, but it's not happening. And then from a bodhisattva point of view, seeing that time of learning about wholesome healing methods, not only for yourself, but also as a bodhisattva, you need to learn all the medicines, all the skills to help others who are not ready to hear, yeah, everything is empty and you're already awakened or something like that, which is true from the absolute point of view, but from a relative point of view, someone needs maybe to have a breathing technique to be able to handle very difficult emotions. And in order to share this kind of methods, the best way to be helpful for us in situations with others is to try them ourselves. So in that way, our own process of finding a place of healing, a place of peace within our challenge is a part of bodhicitta. So we not only see it as something, this is what I learned for myself to, for example, find a way to be more, to be at peace with physical challenges, like with physical pain. But we see that process also as something where we increase our capacity at one point to support someone in physical pain. And then when you work with someone in physical pain, probably the way to start is not going into the emptiness teachings, but to just teach some provisional methods. Yeah. And there's another aspect of this is if we pretend to be able to rest in the nature of mind and insisting on that as the method to respond, that could just re-traumatize ourselves. So we could get into a spiral of more and more density and more suffering, because the ultimate medicine is right now not accessible to us. So we consciously choose a provisional medicine. And it's, for me, it's so I mean, this process of learning skills, and whatever it is, skills of healing. I mean, Lama Zopa is very fond of Feng Shui, for example. It's so provisional, but yeah, just open our curiosity towards different healing methods, knowing that they are provisional, but nevertheless, they are precious. They reduce suffering. And then in that state of reduced suffering, then we, and then also people we are trying to support, and maybe not in this life. So, I mean, when we support someone, we should take the commitment to not give up on that person forever. So then at that, and at one point, reduced suffering then leads to an opening to the ultimate medicine, bodhicitta, emptiness.
Stephan, I see Teresa has something in the chat, and I think possibly, Lori, did you have your hand up? maybe not. No. Okay. So just Teresa in the chat and maybe.
Yeah, Teresa mentioned spiritual bypassing. Yeah. Mm. Yes. It's. I don't want to say it's a complex topic, but that's. It's an important. So you have to Google spiritual bypassing, and and assume that that it is happening for sure. Yeah, for sure it's happening in all of us. So yeah, and even now the teachings on the inner guru, ultimate refuge, they can be also used for bypassing the necessary steps of doing psychological work step by step, yeah, or gradual progressive path methods to kind of to try to bypass the path and just parrot non-dual slogans, memorizing them and then trying to kind of bypass the path. So that's so we go the path, we go the progressive path while realizing, while keeping also awareness that there is no path and there's nobody walking the path and there's no attainment on the path. So, but still we walk the path, because at the moment when we will be there, then we are there. And if we are not there, then it doesn't help to say that you are there. You are there, but of course you are there, but it's not the experience. Yeah. Yes. You mean spiritual bypassing, Jennifer? Yeah. Yeah. It's it would be worth maybe to talk a bit about that. Yeah. Okay. I actually wanted to cover 2 verses today, but I will do that tomorrow then. Which also the next verse is around renunciation. So they are connected, these 7 and 8. Yeah, so we radiate out the positive energy of this meeting into the world, and in your own way, like also including people who are in crisis, and projects, the work of Lama Zopa Rinpoche and His Holiness the Dalai Lama. And may people look after each other everywhere. Yeah, so everywhere, may people just look after each other. It's so simple. Could be so simple. We just need to look after each other. And yeah, may all the people in power awake to their true nature. May all people in power awake to their true nature. See you tomorrow. Thank you.